What up? This is Yinka Diz.
Peace, this is Outlaw.
And you listen to the 80s Babies podcast.
And on today's episode, we're doing a 10-second take.
10-second takes.
For the fourth studio album of the Clipse.
Is that right? They might have more.
Let God Sort Them Out.
God Sort Them Out.
Yeah.
Released July 11th, 2025.
And this one has been a big one in the hip-hop space.
Facts.
A lot of people are talking about this. Old heads are talking about it. New heads are talking about it.
Yeah.
People I wasn't expecting to be talking about this album are talking about this album, and that will be a talking point
for sure
in and of itself.
Yeah.
So obviously the elephant in the room is I'm back here.
Hey.
We we're trying to get the scheduling thing sorted out. It's been really tough for me. Having kids, especially at this age, it's just essentially it's like this, right? It's like every 4 weeks the schedule changes, but you're always 2 weeks behind schedule. So it's like you spend 2 weeks trying to figure out what the new schedule is, and then you get to chill, and it's just like, oh, it changes again. As a result of that, it's been difficult for me to get in the booth to record with Yinka in Panama, but they've been holding it down, giving us some good content.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about the Clipse.
Yeah,
right?
Let's do it. And I feel like, Outlaw, myself, and Panama, we have a group chat. We talk about random things, hip hop stuff and whatever. And you had some energy around this particular project. You were like, oh, this is pretty good. And at the time I was in Portugal and I'm seeing these messages. I'm running around. I'm in the streets. But I'm like, okay, Outlaw's actually like excited about this project, either in a good way or a bad way. Don't know yet. Excited to hear about it. But you want to just maybe talk about like kind of what was the impetus behind you being like, hey, maybe we should record about
So
this?
Generally, if I'm going to be excited about a project, first of all, it needs to be something that I just didn't see coming. And like no one else is talking about it. So I've got so much enthusiasm. I can't even get my thoughts straight. I'm tripping over my words, right?
Okay. And that's not this.
Or it's something that people are talking about it and I can't wait to just shit on it because like, oh, this is terrible. But like, it's going to be fun. We're going to banter here. I will say this is a combination of both.
Okay.
Right? I have always had a level of respect for the Clipse. I've never purchased any of their albums.
Right.
I've never really had the need to go back and sit with them. Their singles were good. The albums themselves are
right.
Hell Hath No Fury. You guys can go back and listen to
We
my
covered
thoughts
that on
that.
the podcast.
It's fine. I don't think it's a masterpiece or anything like that. But the thing with the Clipse is that for whatever reason, maybe it's because we went to UVA and we got a bunch of friends from the 757, but like they've been in this stratosphere that I've never really been able to wrap my head around. I'm like, okay, cool. But like y'all talk about this group like it's OutKast. Yeah. Y'all talk about this group like it's De La. You
mentioned that, on the last episode, right, where we talked about Hell Hath No Fury. And I think I was maybe a bit more congratulatory about that project than you were.
Right.
But I mean, you sat down with it. There were certain records that you did, kind of like or take things away from it. I was probably more excited about that project than you were, and critics seemed to be more excited about that project than both of us were. Right. So, and maybe that's where we land with this one here.
So, given that context, I was not expecting fuck all from this album. And you in Panama were talking about, the rollout. The rollout
is insane.
I want you to walk us through that rollout.
Okay.
But before we get to that, I am not tapped into the rollout just because we talked about my schedule. Yeah. I've got things going on, so I'm not paying attention to every little thing.
Right.
So, but I hear that. I'm like, they got the NPR Tiny Desk concert. They doing this, they doing that. Like, it's just going to be a lot of hype, and then we're going to get let down. We're going to get another Clipse album that is like, it's cool, it's fine.
Right.
And I'm listening to it, turning on. I'm like, oh, okay. John Legend sounds good.
And you're not John Legend's biggest fan.
I'm not a John Legend fan now. John Legend sounds good. Then it gets into the second track. You got Kendrick on there. I'm like, am I bopping? Like, what the fuck is this? This is good. So I was so surprised that this album wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And that's why I was like, all right, cool. Like, y'all got me. I'm engaged. Okay. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, this album, you are not going to get the hater outlaw on this.
Okay.
When we do this 10-second take at all. Yeah. Why don't we get into, I guess, tell me about the rollout a little bit. What caught you? What caught your attention and what made you and Panama? Because I think you both had the same ideas that you were calling it one of the best rollouts in history.
This, I don't know about history, but definitely in the last 10 years.
Okay.
The last rollout of this magnitude that I actually remember would be Tyler, the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost.
Okay.
And I don't know if you remember that project or that rollout or any of it, but like, I mean, he did like a whole performance at like an award show where he had the briefcase from the the cover art, and you know he's got wind blowing him, and there's cars going all around and all kinds of. It was just huge. It was
okay.
He had DJ Drama who hosted the whole mixtape. So that kind of was a return to a certain aesthetic. He did all the magazines and all the press outlets and everything. Yeah. I think in present day, right, we've gotten to a place where legacy media is going away and hip hop is really trying to embrace that maybe too much. And so now, you know, streamers, it was podcasters first, right? It was like, yo, you're going to put out an album. You go sit with the podcasters. Yeah. Let me go sit with Joe Budden and Nori and whoever else are the big, you know, names, Questlove, and talk to them about the project or a little bit about the project and a lot about a bunch of other drama. Well, now we've even passed that to where now podcasting is almost legacy media, and the streamers, these kids, you know, I Show Speed and Kai Cenat, and I don't even want to mention the racist white dude who's really big now. But, you know, there's a bunch of these people, you know, Drake's going to go sit with the racist white dude because that's how he rolls. But, you know, there's a bunch of these kids that, it's really funny because most of the time these kids aren't even really familiar with these artists or the music. Like they don't even care about the music. They're just streamers and they're very popular. So we sit with them. What the Clipse has done is, you know, they've done an authenticity rollout, right? Everything is all about the authenticity and they want to talk about how other people aren't real like them. And so even in the rollout, you know, they're like, we're only going to sit with authentic journalists. And so, you know, they sat with like, you know, Complex and they sat with, they sat with all of the legacy media outlets. They gave those people the album 2 months in advance, just like people used to do back in the day. So, you know,
smart,
if you're because if you're a legacy journalist, we know
zig when everyone else is going to zag. That's smart.
And we know some of these folks, right? Yeah. They feel very underappreciated at this point in time. Jobs are getting slashed in their career field, etc. So now these folks are getting the package with the vinyl and the whatever, and they're feeling important, and they get to go to album release parties where the Clipse are rapping, and they have Louis Vuitton models walking back and forth, and Pharrell is showing up. So they did like a legacy rollout at a time where people don't do that anymore. Right. They spent some good money on it. They got Pharrell out of whatever Louis Vuitton factory in Switzerland he's at or whatever to be a part of it. Really put some money behind it. Hit the Tiny Desk. They're hitting like all the high notes. They performed at the ESPYs just now. So like, I mean, they're doing all these different things at a time where like nowadays people just put an album out. Like they make some shit. Yeah. They sit with a streamer and then they say, hey, album's coming out on Tuesday, and then it's out. You know what I mean? So I think that's what we're kind of talking about is how much they put behind it.
Should we get into the critical reception?
Sure.
Well, I think that this album has been pretty well reviewed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, well received. It's interesting, though. I went on the wiki just a few minutes ago, and I saw that Pitchfork gave it a 6.5 out of 10.
Did they give a reason why?
I didn't see that. No, I just saw the rating. But that was interesting to me just because I feel like most of the outlets are raving about this. Like it's like life after death, right? Like it's like, I mean, people are just like, The Real is back. This is the greatest album since, I mean, like people are going crazy. And I think some of the superlatives, though, come from what I was talking about with the rollout, right? Where if you're Robert Christgau and nobody gave a fuck about you for the last 15 years, and then you get this package on your doorstep and it's, you know, 2 tickets to go to the album release party of, you know, the Clipse, maybe you're going to give it a superlative.
Well, one of my friends, basically, he called me up. I thought he was going to talk about some soccer, but he called me up. He's like, nah, no Arsenal, no Spurs chat. I want to talk about this Clipse album. And he said, like, their use of literary devices and how they use them to extrapolate all this deeper meaning and all these things. He's like, this is one of like the greatest pieces of hip hop literature ever. And then he sends me other texts about how like African art and hip hop art is underappreciated as whatever, right? Like, cool. If we can take that superlative out for this album's place in the context of all hip hop, like I can vibe with that, right? I would say for the Clipse, I get it. And I do think that I wanted to say that piece because this is somebody who's just calling me up to like tell me about the album. And we haven't really spoken about hip hop music in a long time, but I think that's actually rather telling.
Yeah.
Because we used to talk about this stuff all the time, and we don't really do it like that anymore unless you're really like in the weeds with it.
Okay.
Right. And so for him to have this kind of feeling for it, to volunteer that, even if I don't agree entirely, lets me know that I think people who are listening to this album are really, really digging it. And this is someone who, you know, this is a millennial. This is someone from our era.
Right.
So even some of the younger generation, and I want to talk about that, even some of them are really appreciating this album. Not all the same songs that I do, but that's fine. That's actually good. I like that. But what has been your take? Because I think that you said something on Twitter, or I forgot exactly what you were saying, but you were apparently Clipse is like a really, really big hip hop group for the potential like folks who are on like the cusp of Gen Z and millennial, like this really, really younger crowd, and they hold them in a higher esteem than we do.
I'm not sure if I said that, but maybe. I think that they've been consistent. Pusha has been consistent.
Pusha certainly has.
And I think that Pusha has been very intentional about his relevance in different ways, whether it's, you know, aligning himself with Kanye during the Good Music time frame, and being the one person when Kanye kind of started to go off the cliff, you know, when we canceled him, who was, you know, still in Kanye's corner and holding him down, to, you know, be getting involved with when Pharrell kind of got his Louis Vuitton thing, and then, you know, now all of a sudden Pusha's in the fashion world and we're seeing him on runways and things like that. So like, I think even though they are relics of a previous time, right? You mentioned us in college. That's totally true, right? Like my freshman year, Grinding comes out, right? And we're in Virginia and we're watching the impact of that. So so these are men that are older than us.
Yes.
And have been
51.
doing and have been doing hip hop for a long time, since we were in college, and Push is still kind of relevant and in the conversation. And so maybe that's the reason why they're able to kind of sit across, you know, us, I guess we'll call it ourselves millennials, right? And then like the generation that's behind us, and maybe even the one beyond that. Like another wave that has happened, which is crazy that it's a legacy wave now, but like is the drill wave, right? And, you know, you had Chief Keef, right? Who was like one of the big pioneers in drill in the United States. And, you know, That's the Shit I Don't Like was the record that really kind of blew him up internationally. Pusha T's on the big version of that record. You know what I mean? So there's been many different waves of popular, you know, kind of music and subgenres of hip hop. And I feel like Pusha has kind of kept himself relevant in many of them throughout the years.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else for the critical reception, or should we get into our general thoughts on it?
I think let's just talk our general thoughts.
Why don't you, I'm curious to hear yours first.
Yeah. All right. So I have a lot.
Let's unpack it.
And we're probably going to switch places here. Like you know, and it's funny because we did this on the Pusha T It's Almost Dry episode as well.
Which I will be honest, I don't remember any songs from that album.
And that's what I said when we did the podcast. I said, nobody's going to remember anything.
Right. I don't remember if I reviewed that even favorably or not. I don't remember.
You reviewed it more favorably than me.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you know, it also got a lot of positive acclaim when it came out.
Gotcha.
So I actually wrote this, so I'll just read what I wrote. I do think this is a good album. It kind of gives me the feeling of like a Nas King's Disease series in terms of a legacy legendary artist that we love giving us a return to form. But then I said, but there's honestly nothing life-changing or groundbreaking on here except maybe the So Be It beat. But it's still good to see our faves doing their thing. I said this might be the best rollout of an album in the last 10 years since, you know, Tyler, the Creator's Call Me If You Get Lost. I said, however, this album and its marketing feel like what real hip hop, in quotes, would be identified to a 10-year-old white kid in Nebraska. It feels like you could sell it with a Supreme brick, a pair of Dunks, and a plastic faux Pyrex bowl, and white hipsters would line up outside of a boutique store somewhere in America to consume it. It feels safe and sterile in a way that makes sense for veterans their age making a return album, but in a way that doesn't seem to be acknowledged at all by the discourse about the...
What do you mean by that last part?
Like, none of the beats other than So Be It are all that imaginative. They don't really explore like crazy, like, you know, kind of out there cadences or tempo switches or anything like that. It's kind of just one note for 40 minutes.
That's fair. It's
a good note. Like it's an enjoyable note, but the way it's being discussed is almost like it did something groundbreaking and amazing in a way that maybe I'm not hearing.
I hear you.
Yeah. What do you think?
So I think for me, I actually have a lot of those thoughts. I am comfortable discussing this just within the context of Clipse and who they are. In terms of the greater, I guess, hip hop landscape and all of the great hip hop groups that we have discussed over the years that we'll discuss in the future.
Right.
I think that this is certainly good. I'm not going to say that this is on some of the groundbreaking legendary projects.
Yeah.
But I do have to emphasize that I really, really wasn't all that high on Clipse historically. Now, don't get me wrong. There's singles that they've had. I've always enjoyed their singles. But in terms of sitting down and listening to their albums, I've always just been like, I can do without this. And it basically goes back to what Ibrahima used to tell you about, that if your album is just hot or it just has hot songs, it's not necessarily going to be a good album. That some of the best albums don't really have hot singles. They might have like good song singles, but not songs that you would necessarily just think of as hot, right? And so from that perspective, I've just never really cared about the Clipse like that from a musical perspective. This album makes me do that. Okay. And I actually have to say that I think this is pretty remarkable from the Clipse.
Okay.
On two fronts. One, I did not think they were capable of doing this. In terms of the music cohesion of this album, that's also still good and still different in certain places. Not all the places that you're talking about. And a lot of this is going to be credit to Pharrell. Because I think he's insane on this.
I agree. Yeah.
But the fact that they were able to do this, I was so impressed because like when we listen to Hell Hath No Fury, I go through and I pick those lyrics apart and I just don't care about much of what they have to say.
Okay.
There are bars on this album throughout the entire song. Throughout the entire album, they've got bars here on pretty much every single song. And sometimes I think that in the past, they use the literary devices, but almost to their detriment. Yep. They go over and beyond, and they really, really try, and it's really, really forced. And sometimes they even like over explain, and then they emphasize as if like this bar was really hot, and it wasn't, right? On this, I think they scaled back that last part. They use the literary devices well. They don't over explain anything too much. They over explain some things sometimes. Yeah. They don't do it too much. And it still does sound, I don't want to say it sounds forced, but it does sound formulaic still. Yeah. Which is the greatest MCs, in my opinion. They don't sound forced. It's just, everything just flows smoothly. They don't have that. Yet, nevertheless, though, they still have bars that I'm like, all right, this is hot. Whereas in the past, I haven't necessarily thought so. Yeah. And so the fact that they even explore some themes outside of the drug game is like impressive.
That's true. I don't find it impressive, but I do find it maybe
Pusha
impressive for them, right? Like they seem like they tried to step outside of their
which was much harder for Pusha to do than it was for Malice. Yeah. Although I will say a criticism I have for Malice is like, I get it. You left and you came back. I get it.
Yeah, he does kind of say that on like every
left and you can't. I get it. I've been both Mason. I got it. Right.
Yo, and so again, like, thank you for saying that line, right? That's another line where it's like the thing that we talk about with the Clipse, where it's like they say a line and they like go crazy, like it's insane. I saw people posting that line. I've been both Mace and Bethas, and they had a picture of Mace as a pastor and a picture of Mace next to Puff, and I'm like, we get it. Like, it's not that serious.
We get it.
This is an okay line.
I made my exit to then make my entrance. I get it, bro. Trust me. I hear what you're saying. So the thing is, let's say the Locks were to get back together and do an album after 15, 20 years, and not as D Block or whatever, but like the Locks. Be honest about your expectations for that album.
Well, they did firstly.
Okay.
In 2020 maybe,
and that was right around the time that,
something like that. Yeah.
Styles in particular he was actually coming out with a lot of music around that. It was okay.
Yeah, and I mean, just like you said, I wouldn't have like huge expectations for them. I would just be happy that they're coming.
I think that given how low I generally felt about the Clipse previous project, the fact that they came back together and did this is like really, really good. I mean, if even a group like Tribe, who has a history of just doing landmark album after landmark album back to back to back,
Yep.
Right. Even when they came back to do their Thanks We Got It From Here, it's like, all right, there's some good stuff on here. Generally speaking, like I appreciate this effort, but it's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Right. Like even for a group like them, coming back together is difficult. So for Clipse to come back together, to never really get it right the first time, in my opinion, and to get it so right this time is like, when does that happen? Like I'd expect that from if OutKast were to come back and do an album, for what it would take for Andre to get back in the booth, you know it's going to be good. You're going to have good expectations for it. Now, it might disappoint you, and you may not surprise you if it disappoints you. But if it delivers, you're also going to be like, well, that's OutKast.
But here's a piece of context that's missing from there. The Clipse have been teasing that they had an album for at least 3 years, right? So I don't know if that's a part of the context of what you're saying. But if Andre and Big Boy said that they were going to come back, and they said, we're going to drop an album in 2021, and then in 2022, and then in 2023, and then they finally dropped it in 2025. By 2025, I don't care. Like I don't have that anticipation of going like, oh my gosh, what's going to be on there? I'm just going to say, hurry up and just drop it so I can just hear what it is.
Here's the thing though. We sit here and at least I can speak for myself. I complain about how quickly these artists put music together, right? And we appreciate Kendrick for taking his time and doing what he needs to do. So if you're telling me that they had an album in 2021 and 2022 and 2023, and they push it back another year and they finally deliver it now, and it executes, I'm going to give them a round of applause. And I think,
but you were talking about anticipation. So your point was about, right? You said,
I was talking about expectation.
Right. You said, what were your expectations?
Yes.
If your album gets pushed back for 3 or 4 years, I don't have any expectations. By now it's just, hey, just put your shit out so I can hear it. Cause I'm not going like, oh, is it going to be good? Oh, nothing. Well, zero expectations.
I didn't know that they were putting these albums out. I've been, I've been raising family and whatnot. So I didn't have my ear to the ground like that. I will say though, I'm actually glad you brought that point, because in many ways it almost feels like a first album, in the sense that you once told me that I think you might have got this from somewhere. I don't think this is your original line, but essentially like, your first album is the one that like you spend like 10 years to make. You spend your life making
your lifetime
your
making your first album. Yeah, and that's not an original thing for me. It's just what people say.
They have lyrics in here where it's so far above what I'm used to from them that I wonder how long it took them to get it right. For example, right? George R.R. Martin, they once asked him about like, wow, like how closely do you relate to Tyrion, especially because he's your point of view character throughout the story. Like, can you talk like him in real life? He's like, no, Tyrion is so quick-witted. It takes me like weeks and weeks and weeks to come up with a smart line. And I'm like, oh, there it is. That's so clever. That's so clever. It's almost like the same thing for this album, in the sense that like, I wonder how long it took them to put some of these bars together, because again, I am genuinely impressed.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, good job, Pusha T. Good job, Malice. Like, I was not expecting this from y'all. Y'all did it.
That's interesting, because for me, and again, maybe we're switching places here. Like, I actually didn't hear very many bars that I was super impressed by. I heard a lot of like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I heard a few groaners, less than I'm used to hearing from Clipse, because Clipse, like you said, like sometimes they just jump on a bar and they cut the beat out and they emphasize it, and you're just like,
well, I was.
All right, that was fine.
I will say as well, and you've not necessarily criticized me on this, but you've kind of taken a different stance in the sense that, like, when I appreciate lyricism, I really like double entendres and wordplay, and it's like littered throughout this album.
Yeah,
there's like a bunch of little things here and there. Yeah. And so the piece that's missing for me again is the effortless flow.
That's what I'm saying.
They don't have that.
They don't, and so they lean into these forced double entendres. Yes. And they're really impressed by themselves. And then they do interviews, and they're telling you about the double entendre. Like, oh, I have one. Actually, I'll just spill it right now. So they just recently did an interview. I want to say it's Complex, but I always say Complex. It's probably somebody else. Yeah. They sat down. They were talking about the album and how great it was. Pusha spits a line. Malice goes, oh my God, I just got the line. I just got that that's a double entendre. And the double entendre was, sold ecstasy, I am Houdini. And he was like, well, there was a dude named Ecstasy in Houdini. Like, sold ecstasy, I am Houdini. Like, it's like he sold ecstasy, but then ecstasy was also in Houdini. And I'm sitting there looking at this shit like, bro, like, if I was a 15-year-old white kid in Nebraska, I would be like, oh, holy shit. there's a guy named Ecstasy in the group called Houdini. That's insane.
But then they also,
but for me, as somebody who's been listening to rap music my whole life, that's true. Like, come the fuck on, bro.
So, and this is where I will challenge my friend who gave me his opinion of it. I'm like, if you're talking about in the context of hip hop, like, let's simmer down a little bit.
Okay.
But then, like, in the context of Clipse, like, you know, the powerlifting line about and using 2.2, I was like, oh, okay, like, cool. Because, you know, 2.2 pounds is a kilo. Like, right. Yep. And I know that because I've lifted weights in places where they use kilograms instead of pounds. Like, but like, you know, but it's not all that big of a deal. I don't need to get on here and explain it, but I'm saying they have like a lot of little lines where I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Like,
that's what I'm saying. The whole album for me is like, cool. And it's very rare where I was like, oh shit. You talked about this, and I'd forget what artist we were talking about, but you talked about how you write rhymes or wrote rhymes at some point. And like the way you know that something is really clever is you're like, how hard would it have been for me to think of this?
Right. Yeah.
I'm listening to most of this album going, okay, that's cool. Yeah. I'm not going, oh shit, like I wouldn't have thought of that.
But here's the difference.
You know what I'm saying?
The difference for me is that when we listen to Hell Hath No Fury, I listen to that album and I groan through most of the lyrics. I'm not doing that here, and I'm like, okay, you guys are actually delivering. So I am impressed with Clipse.
Okay.
Right? Like, this is not OutKast. This is not Wu-Tang. This is not Tribe. This is not even like UGK or Mobb Deep. You know what I mean? For Clipse, like if they did this the entire time, I would understand why people talk about them the way that they do. But given what they've given us before, didn't deserve a lot of praise from our generation. Right. And maybe, again, maybe I'm biased because, not biased, maybe I am tainted a little bit because of where we went to school and how 757 influenced it was. Facts. Right? Like I had people, I think it was Bezo who was telling me like, yo, this is a Pusha T's a top 25 artist. I won't hear otherwise. It's like, nah, nigga, like we not doing that.
There was I hope this person doesn't listen to the podcast, but I was talking to, I met a woman who is actually an A&R for a record label. Yeah. And I don't know, we ended up having this conversation. I want to say it was during Howard Homecoming weekend. And she was like, she asked me like what's your Mount Rushmore, or what's your top 4 artists or whatever. So we kind of had this conversation, and Pusha T was on her Mount Rushmore. Okay. And then so she's like, yeah, and Pusha T or whatever, and I'm like, okay. So she's like, why are you making a face or whatever? I'm like, no, I'm not. Like that's cool. So she's like, no, like give me feedback. Talk about this. Give me feedback on my Mount Rushmore, and I'm like, most of your Mount Rushmore is cool. Like like Pusha T is one of the top 4 rappers of all time to you. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, and I won't have any conversation about it. I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, you got it. You know what I mean? So you're right. Some people, that's how they feel.
I've never really understood that. And even if this is all they gave us, it would have been very, very solid from them. Like, I respect everything they said on here. I have not always respected everything they've said in the past. Got it. So to give me this after years and years and years in hiatus, for Malice in particular, not necessarily for Pusha T, but Pusha T literally gave us the same verse for the past 30 years, whatever, right? Yes. So you have that. And then to give us projects, at some point we need to talk about the Pharrell in this. Yes. I'm going to kill that train of thought. I'm not even going to finish that because I was kind of repeating myself. Yeah. Let's get into the highlights and lowlights. Yeah, let's. Do you want to, we kind of been talking about some of the lowlights. Do we want to talk more about that, or do we want to get into
go straight to highlights and then we can cut
back. I've already spoken about some of my highlights from the Clipse, right? Pharrell, holy shit. Yeah. Take a bow. One, as a vocal performer, he is stellar on this, start to finish.
Really? Right? Start to finish for you?
As a vocal performer for Pharrell?
I think he shines in places, and for me, there's some places where he doesn't.
The thing is that he gives us, his inclusion on the album gives us a reminding presence. You know, you and I have spoken about how we kind of like a through line throughout an album. Absolutely. And we want a bit of cohesion. We want it to knit together nicely. Pharrell's presence on the album makes it knit together nicely. Yeah. But it's also not necessarily monotonous. Yeah. He gives us a little bit of variety. In some places, his voice is mixed immaculately, and other places it's mixed whatever. But in the past, it's usually been trash, right? And I've said this before on the podcast, and I'll say it again. Pharrell is not a good vocal performer. He just is not. That falsetto that he continued to persist with throughout the years has just been like, it was cool.
I thought we said it got better, though.
Yeah,
like I think early in your career.
When I still think about Pharrell as a vocal performer, a lot still goes back to when he first broke onto the scene. And some of that stuff is just like, it's cool because it's like hip hop and it can have like its own little different sound to it.
Right.
But like, it's not like aesthetically all that pleasing.
Yeah, I agree.
Like there's a difference between something working and being like, ooh, this sounds good.
Yep.
And so there are parts on this album where like he sounds great and other parts where it may not be amazing, but like, it's still consistent enough, and there's enough varieties that it doesn't necessarily get too monotonous. So I like it.
Yep.
I just think as a vocal performer, he has put it all together here for the best part. So I have to give him credit for that.
Nice.
As a producer, you're saying that he doesn't necessarily have any groundbreaking beats, and that's fine. But I think there's an argument that this is probably his most cohesive project he's ever put together as a producer before. And I went through the list.
So you've listened to nerd albums? Okay.
The only ones I haven't really listened to are like the nerd albums, and I haven't like given Khalees a lot of time, right? But like here's the list, right? So you've got Khalees Kaleidoscope, Mike E Master Plan. You heard of this? Okay. Philly's Most Wanted, Get Down or Lay Down. Thoughts? Yay or nay?
It's good, but it's Neptune's. It's Neptune's production.
Khalees Wonderland. Then you have Clipse, Lord Willin', Hell Hath No Fury. Kenna, Make Sure They See My Face. Are you familiar with this? Is that good? Okay, Clipse Till the Casket Drops. And is that just Pusha T on that? I didn't even listen to that one.
No, it's Clipse.
Oh, so Malice is on that as well.
Yeah.
So he does that and then he retires.
Well, kind of. He put out 2 solo albums in the meantime.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Is he still Malice or is he no Malice?
No Malice.
He's the no Malice on that.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
All right. I had not listened till the Casket Drops. Is that any good?
Do you remember the song "Outside of Popeyes Eating Chicken and Fries" with Cameron? Mama, you miss me, don't you? And that was fire. But yeah, Til the Casket Drops had that record on it.
Okay. And then you have he did something for Gloria Estefan, Middleless Havana. He produced a majority of that album. Okay. Snoop Dogg, Bush. I've not listened to this.
It was a pet project for him and Snoop.
Okay, Little Big Town, Wonderlust, Nego, I Know Nego.
Mm-hmm.
Is that good?
It's not our type. Okay.
And then you have all of his nerd projects. So In Search of, Fly or Die, Sing Sounds, Nothing, No One Ever Really Dies, which I like
my argument would be in terms of cohesion, some of those nerd albums would probably be more cohesive.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, go ahead.
All right. Well, nevertheless, he also like the nerd is also like a band, like a hip hop band. Yeah. It's not really okay. In terms of like albums where he's been like the executive producer, if you will, I think that this is probably his most cohesive project. He's got some songs on here that I was not flat out expecting. Like he's got like a yacht rock on here, a yacht rock song on here that just like blew my mind away.
Probably my favorite song on there.
That for you, that's what's the name of it? It's the last one on it. It's By the Grace of God.
Oh, okay, then we're not talking about the same song.
Okay. Nevertheless, but he's got like the way the album like starts off. It's just I don't know, it's just really really good. So for me, Pharrell getting this to come together the way that it did, it's way better in my opinion than Hell Hath No Fury. Again, I don't have a lot of love for that album. It's fine. It's just whatever. I don't know. I just think that this album comes together really, really well, and it surprised me. I was not expecting it.
Because to me, honestly, this sounds like a continuation of Hell Hath No Fury, actually. And there are actually like beats and rhymes here that are like literally like almost like you just extended something that you started on Hell Hath to me.
Well, maybe you know how I feel about that album.
Yeah, I know.
So
So that's a highlight for you. It's Pharrell.
Yeah, I also think that Malice to me is the standout performer between the two of them. Yep. I think that he's certainly a highlight. And I will say for Pusha T, in the context of Pusha T, he is a highlight. I think generally speaking, he does a good job on here. And the thing is, it's not like, the thing about Pusha is that I mean that in all sincerity. He has given us the same verse for the past 30 years.
It feels that way to me, too.
You know what I mean? 30 years, 20 years, 25 years, whatever.
Whatever.
2-3 decades worth. He's given us the same verse all the time. And sometimes that first sounds better than others. But here, like, we actually get some, not on every single track, but like, song about like
their mom
and their mom and the pops. But he gives us the mom verse. Yeah. And then he gives us one verse where it's All Things Considered, where he starts out, it's like talk about his family, and then he gets right into the drug game.
Yeah,
again,
I felt the same way. I was like, oh snap! Like he talked about like a miscarriage, and then it's like, but now I'm back to selling this coke. I'm like, oh, okay, all right.
But nevertheless, though, I think that for him, he's good on this. He does not weigh the album down for me. I don't get tired of him.
I actually, to your comment about kind of Malice as the superior performer, I actually think Pusha was the superior performer in terms of vocal performance, but Malice was the superior writer. Like I think that like Malice's content was better, but Pusha, you could tell, was in shape. Like he's good at recording, and that's why he has more verses here.
Yeah,
and he's like really, really involved. He really wanted to rap on that shit.
So those are some of my highlights aside from everything else I've already discussed about why I like the album. So why don't we get into some of yours?
So I've got production, just like you said. So I know you talked about Pharrell as a vocal performer, but I'm highlighting him as a producer. Yeah. And production is going to be, you'll see, as a highlight in a low life. Yeah.
Which is also, his production for me on this album is also very good, in my opinion.
So production, Malice, I said. The features, for the most part, the features, they came and took it seriously.
Who I don't understand.
Yeah.
I want to have that podcast. Someone needs to explain to me Tyler, the creator. You need to explain to me why all of a sudden he's just like one of the ghosts. Like, what? When did this happen?
It's not for our generation, but our generation respects
I need that generation to explain it to me, please.
We gotta
tell
find
it to me like I'm a child.
But I mean, if you weren't around during the Odd Future and the shaping of that, he's like the... I don't even know who he's, like the RZA of that generation. Like he's like the guy who spearheaded a Wu-Tang, his own Wu-Tang, which is Odd Future, and they became that generation's like people who all went out on their own and became amazing. So it makes sense for that generation. But anyway, features. I said growth.
Yeah.
While they both broach the same drug dealing concepts, they seem to do it with a level of depth and growth that would be needed at their station in life.
Agree.
So those are my highlights.
Do we have any more? We kind of touched on some things that we didn't like about the album, but should we just articulate it specifically in these lowlights?
Go for it. What you got?
So I will say that in song arrangement is a really big thing for me, right? And there are times when they do have a little variety in their song arrangements, but generally speaking, Pusha T is going to start the song, and he's going to give us a hook, and then Malice is going to give us a hook. And then Pusha T is going to end. Maybe we'll have the feature in there somewhere, and then it ends. Now, a few times we have like a beat switch. That's cool. Sometimes we have artists coming through doing something. Sometimes instead of just Malice on a verse, we open up with Pusha, and then we have Pusha and Malice. It's like, okay, so there's a lot of Pusha on here.
Yeah, there is.
There's a lot of Pusha on here.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Pusha on here.
It seemed like the way they explained it was like, Pusha's been the dude that's outside and has been asking his brother to come play basketball with him for mad long. Come on, bro, just play for a little bit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then he finally got him to come off the porch and play something, but he's just gonna play something.
For me, it almost felt like a Purple Tape. Like their rendition of the Purple Tape, where
Ray co-host.
Yeah, exactly. But Pusha T would be Ghostface here, and Raekwon would be Malice, right? It almost felt like a little bit like that. So while it's a Clipse album, it is definitely a Clipse album, but I mean, like Pusha T is front and center.
Yeah,
but he's front and center in terms of presence. But man, I gotta say, like Malice still is the standout performer for me from a writing perspective.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then what other lowlights did I have? Again, just a lot of drug talk.
Yeah.
A lot of drug talk.
Yeah.
And we're talking about authenticity, right? We've spoken before, and you've kind of pushed back on this a little bit, the idea of did the person really sell drugs and whatnot?
Right.
And I got to say, I don't care from your street cred perspective. That means fuck all to me. I don't give a shit. This matters to me from an artistic standpoint. Like, I want to be able to connect with you as a human being.
Okay.
So if you actually sold drugs and you're actually in the streets and you're actually doing what you're saying you did, then I can connect with what you're talking about. It's one of the reasons why I love Ghostface Killah so much. Because when he's when he's getting vulnerable and speaking about shit that really happened to him, you just fucking feel it. You have no choice. Yeah. And the thing is, we open the album talking about their parents dying. Holy fuck. This is who you are. This is incredible.
Right.
And I agree. Get drug talk again. And I'm like, I feel like you want me to respect your gangster. Nigga, I don't care. Who the fuck are you? Is this really who you are?
Yeah.
I don't really know because I don't care about that drug stuff so much.
Yeah.
But it does kind of matter. If you want me to respect you as an artist, it means something to me. So I don't know. The drug talk, can we speak on it?
Yeah.
What do we know? What do you know?
I know that they were affiliated with someone who did a good amount of time, who was their manager.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
And actually, one of the songs they actually talk about him specifically. There's a line that Pusha has basically where he says like, "You did a whole Vlad interview, but really the questions they were asking you was about me." So it was almost like what he was saying was like, this dude does this whole Vlad interview, and they're asking you all these questions about, oh, so what did you do? And the thought is like, okay, well, you were in parallel with Pusha. So if you were selling in this year, then let's just attribute that to Pusha, et cetera, or whatever. So I know that they were affiliated with and around people who, did this at a high level, but I don't really know so much about their history as, actual drug dealers. Like in the way of Jay-Z, right? Where like, there's people who have made actual statements that you can align, and people have done the whole crazy person math where they put it together and been like, oh, he was selling in Virginia at this point, in Maryland. Like, I don't know if that story is the Clipse's. And
let me be clear here, because my favorite artist, obviously Biggie, talked a lot about drugs from time. Well, not all the time, but from time to time spoke a lot about drugs. But like, he wasn't really pushing it like that. He was kind of like the corner hustler, right? Sold an 8-ball, whatever. Like, he wasn't moving it like Jay-Z was, right? However, though, I will say that in terms of like somebody creating this musical cinematic experience in my mind, like Biggie is doing that. So maybe I'm not necessarily connecting to who Biggie is as a person. I don't care. It's like listening to Biggie talk about drugs is like watching a movie. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, Pusha's not on that level. For Pusha and Malice, it's almost like you just want me to respect like your street cred. I'm like, I don't.
It feels like to some degree they lean on it as a crutch. Yeah. And I think that it's interesting because this is the stuff that we're not supposed to talk about, right? Nobody's talking about it. But, these men are 50. Yeah. Right? So they talk a lot about selling crack and cocaine. Crack and cocaine have not been popular drugs to sell for over 30 years.
Is it Pusha or Malice who said he's the Bezos of the nasal?
I like that. I don't remember. I think it might have been Push. Yeah, but yeah. So like these have not been the popular drugs that are really moving. I mean, they are moving, but like, for everybody,
the synthetic drugs is what's in now,
right?
Yeah,
so
the designer drugs
for at least 30 years, right? Can we say that?
What the new drug is?
No. Can we say that the drug that they're talking about has not been the popular drug?
Yes.
So let's say that they're maybe 30 years removed from doing this. But yet, you have 11 songs, and 9 of them are just about how you sold cocaine 30 years ago. Yeah, like I feel like that's something that should at least be highlighted. It's cool that they talked about they touched on some other topics, but it seemed like such a crutch for them that once they got 4 bars out about something that happened in their family, they went right back to the crutch. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like watching middle school kids play basketball, and it's like I can dribble with my right hand for a second, but then I gotta go back to my left, or whatever. Yeah. So I think that is a bit of a low light. Yeah. Any others for you?
No, that's kind of it.
Okay, I've got production. So I told you it was a highlight and a low light. I said too clean, too homogenous, and I said maybe the runway pulse for all songs ? So I'll double click on that. I saw someone on Twitter, and it might have been Shamira. I don't remember who it was, but someone on Twitter was talking about how Pharrell and the Clipse were touting how they made this whole album on the top of a Louis Vuitton distribution center or some shit like that. And, Pharrell is Mr. Louis Vuitton now. And so, they were in some other country recording this in the design studio. Cool. But maybe as a result of that, the pace and cadence of what they were recording was more influenced by fashion than it was something else. Okay. So if you listen to Chains and Whips, for example, the cadence, you can hear somebody walking down a runway to it, to the point where they debuted it on a runway, right? Like that song was like, they did it in Fashion Week somewhere, right? In Paris or something like that. Yeah, so I mean, no, I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying that every single song has the same tempo,
I got you.
To a point where like, it's like eventually you're like, okay, we're doing this again. That's okay, I guess. They did as much as you possibly could do at 88 beats per minute.
So let me tell you, that's actually a highlight for me from Pharrell.
Okay.
The reason why is because I said before about they don't have an effortless flow. It's better on this album than it has been in some projects before. You know, we've been doing this a lot. We have a lot of experience listening to hip hop. Like I recognize an effortless flow when I hear one, right? I think Pharrell did his best to mask their limitations as MCs, right?
So you're saying like he didn't give him any curveballs. He kind of threw it right over the plate, and then they were able to.
There's a low light vocal performance from Pusha T, which is actually a song like that I think is decent. But you could tell he's doing his best to do his Biggie thing.
Yo,
it's easy. That was easy.
That was about to be my next low light.
When he's trying to like sing the bars like that, I'm like, I know what you trust. That's my favorite artist. Right. I know what you're doing. And there's a difference when he does it and when you do it, because you're doing the same cadence throughout your whole shit.
Yes.
And that dude was flipping bars every other beat.
Every
you know what I mean?
2 to 4 bars, he was somewhere else.
But here's the thing, you and I care about that kind of thing. I'm not sure if most listeners do. And they have songs where, like there's a song on here, FICO Score. Good track. Good track though, right? But it's just like, their cadence is the same, start to bottom, where they do like this long bar, and then they do a quick one that has a different rhyme, and they do the long bar again, and that rhymes with the previous one, and then the short bar, and then that rhymes with it's like you did this throughout top to, and you do that on 2 songs. So it's just like those are kinds of things that I'm gonna pick apart. But generally speaking, though, I think it still works all together because I don't have Clipse as like a top tier hip hop group for me. Yeah. They are not top tier hip hop performers or vocalists for me. Given their limitations, I think they did well. And I think Pharrell, to counter your point or to challenge your point a little bit, I think did the best he could with who they are, more so than he was able to do it in the past. Because I think that in the past, like on Lord Willin', when was the last time you heard it like this? There's vocal tricks that they have on there, but that's Pharrell and Chad Hugo
crazy.
Bad.
Hell yeah.
Right? Whereas,
and there's nothing like that here.
Right. Whereas I think on Hell Hath No Fury, my criticism for that is that they try to do the artsy, esoteric route that they don't deliver, in my opinion. So it's like Pharrell's trying to do this for artists who are extremely limited in what their ability can afford them to do on the mic. Yeah. They get it together here and it works here. That's why it does work for me. Maybe it didn't work for you. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, or maybe I'm coming from the low point, right? So to go back to me, sometimes when things get too hyped, I push back from the negative. Now, because I had such low expectations, I'm like, hey,
and you didn't hear all the
I didn't hear any of that.
So I wanted to piggyback on a point that you were making before I go back to my low lights. I have a couple, but you know, one of the things that you talked about was just them and, you know, the group and their performances and how, you know, kind of Pharrell was able to maybe mask or aid in that. I saw something on Twitter. This is just about discourse, because that's, you know, somewhere where there's a lot of hip hop discourse. Someone wrote, and I think I might have quote tweeted it, and we had a bit of a conversation about it. This album puts the Clipse squarely above OutKast as the greatest hip hop group of all time. With a silence. Yeah. So you know, people, you know, the discourse. Yeah.
I don't even want to entertain that.
I was so mad when I first saw it that I had to like close the app, and then I just reopened the app, and then I just reposted it and was like, this is where we are with the hip hop discourse.
Look, I was willing to give this album all the praise. Like I said, I actually think this is remarkable for them to do. I genuinely was not expecting this. This is a good project to come back from however 15 years, whatever, and give us this. Like, kudos, well done, all respect, dude. Like, this is a good album.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. This is good. Y'all did good. Pharrell did good. Pusha T, Malice, everybody did great. Like, you deserve the praise that you're getting for this album. Yeah, no knocks. Like, yeah, some nitpicks here and there, but whatever. Like, fine. But you start spouting out that bullshit, and we're gonna have a fucking problem. What are we talking about?
It was insane.
What are we talking about?
This is where we are with like this kind of, I don't know, internet, social media discourse. And you know, you also have to filter out the difference between, one, people that are rage baiting or clickbaiting, two, people that are just children. You know what I mean? Like, like you're 5. Like, this is the first hip hop album you've ever heard in your life. And you're like, this is the best thing ever. It's like, yeah, it probably is to you because you never heard anything. You know what I mean? And then like 3, like people who like can actually sit down and break down to you what their argument is. Yeah. I don't think that you could, though, make a sane argument that puts these guys over OutKast as the greatest.
We don't even have to. No,
I don't even think they're in the conversation, right? Like, they're not with Tribe Called Quest. They're not with Mobb Deep. They're not with a bunch of groups.
Well, so here's what I wanted to say, though, right? So I actually kind of want to have the Mobb Deep discussion. Now, spoiler alert, I'm going to be with Mobb Deep on this. However, how many good albums did Mobb Deep actually have?
3 arguable classics.
So so you're putting Hell on Earth? No,
yes.
Is it Infamous? Wait, what's
Infamous, Hell on Earth, and Murder Music.
Interesting. I'm not sure if I'd put that there.
You can easily make the argument that Murder Music is not a classic, but I think the other two.
I think we made it a classic, did we not? Album.
But that's just because I'm a nice guy and I
so
I allow some things to rock.
So here's the thing.
We spoke very favorably about Murder Music. I think we said it. We said it would have been a classic by omission, by just like removing a few songs or something like that.
That's probably true. Okay, that sounds like something that we would say for sure. Hell on Earth? What I would argue is that obviously, like, you know, Infamous is goated.
Yeah,
right? There's no.
Yeah, you can't say anything right. About that one. Yep.
What I wonder though is if this album or the equivalent of this album came out in that time period where we sat with music. We sat with like 10 albums for the year instead of like 10 albums for the week, whatever, right? I wonder if the conversation around Clipse would be more favorable.
You're saying we gave it more time.
Well, and also with the quality of this album.
Yes.
I wonder. And the reason why I think Mobb Deep is a good comparison is because of some of the subject matter, even though I think there's way more variety in Mobb Deep. There's way more variety, but generally...
And vulnerability.
Streets, yes. But still, from the streets, you know, talking about drugs, this, you know, talk about your rep, this, that, and the other. There's a cohesive producer, so you got Havoc, you got Pharrell, right? Like, you got a duo, obviously. Like, there is some comparisons there that we can, like, have the conversation. Now, the conversation is always going to end one way.
I think so.
And it's probably not even going to be all that much in the depth of the conversation, but we can have that. I wonder because, like I said, I'm really, really not all that impressed with Lord Willin' and Hell Hath No Fury. Yeah. And so, like, Hell Hath No Fury has the cohesion that is necessary. I just don't think they're good. And I don't think the beats are all that impressive. I think this actually does that. But the difference is that this album is coming out 25 years, 30 years after the debut. Whereas, okay, Mobb Deep had some whatever album, but then no one really knew who they were. And then all of a sudden they hit us with Infamous, boom, they're right in the thick of it.
Yep.
Right when all these things matter.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I wonder if we possibly could speak more favorably of Clipse in terms of their place in hip hop if they delivered an album like this much sooner. I don't know. I wonder.
Maybe. I mean, because that also mildly discounts what they've made previously. And while you don't love their previous material, others do.
What I would say, though, is that does their previous material come close to anything that Mobb Deep did?
I don't think any of their material is on the level of the Infamous.
No, but I could make the argument that in a different time or place, this album is on par with Hell on Earth. I could make that argument.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think it kind of really just depends on what your aesthetic is. To me, this is way too clean. Like just clean and pristine to be be considered next to like Hell on Earth is dirty, dusty, the type of shit that I like. Aesthetically, it couldn't win.
I think that there's enough variety in the music here from Pharrell that it still works because.
But I'm sorry to cut you off. Does Pusha T or Malice? I think more favorably of Prodigy than you do. But does Pusha T or Malice have any verse that rises to the level of what Prodigy in his prime was doing?
I do think that Malice's verse on Birds Don't Sing is really fucking good. Is amazing. Yeah, that's close. It's truly remarkable what he did on The Birds Don't Sing.
I agree.
In fact, that bar, like, there's a lot of bars on here, but when he's talking about his pops, Mom made sure he had every bass covered. So imagine his pain finding bass in the cupboard.
I like
it's
that.
Like, it sounds simple, but it's like, no, bro, like that's absolute. Like if you maybe that's hitting me more now as a father.
Yeah,
but to think that you did everything, and then you find that's like, where did I go wrong? It's like that show Adolescence on Netflix. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it.
Should watch that. If y'all seen that, you'll know what I'm talking about.
But Biggie told a similar story, right, with his mom finding his work, right, where he's just like, yo, like she's working all these jobs, she's doing all this stuff, and then it's just heartbreaking that like your kid still feels like they need to go out and do this.
In the context of this verse, though, like it's a really, really impressive standout verse from Malice here.
I agree.
I could say that that's possibly on par with Prodigy, and of course, yes, you do. You have a higher opinion of Prodigy than I do, but it's not like I think Prodigy is whack. Obviously, I think Prodigy is great. If I have him at like an 8, you probably have him at like a 9 or something like that, 8.5, whatever. So I think it's fair. I don't know. I wonder if I do think that because these albums from these classic hip hop groups came out when we were younger at a much more impressionable time period, and they were good right away. You know what I mean? Because like, let's say we flip the script and Reflection Eternal came out with this most recent album back in the day, and they came out with their one back in the day here. It'd be like, oh, like, great, you guys came out with an album again. Whereas we speak of, not Reflection Eternal, I'm sorry. Oh my God.
Deep?
No, Black Star.
Oh, Black Star.
I apologize.
Okay, yeah.
Black Star. So let's say.
You're saying with the more recent one.
Yeah, so flip them, right? Like, we would be like, oh, good job. Black Star came out with a great album, but like, we would also probably not even know who they are if they came out with the most recent one, like back in the day. Does that make sense? So I think that we give it more weight because of when it came out. And like, especially like, okay, how many classic albums does Nas have? For real. He has one for sure, arguably two with It Was Written, right? Now we speak.
But people put a lot of them in classic.
But that's because of how good Illmatic is my point.
Maybe.
It's like when you start.
If Johnny Rapper, I don't know, a new guy that just came out, put out Life Is Good by Nas, you're saying that we wouldn't say, wow, this is an amazing album.
Yes, exactly. That is what I'm saying. Because I think that so much of how nostalgia works is we connect to the thing that gave us that like immediate high, that immediately good experience. So we're obviously going to have we may sound like hip hop haters here, me in particular, but like, I want things to be good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, take the MJ versus LeBron discussion and how silly it is. Like, you think I don't want to see another player as good as MJ? I want to see that.
Yeah.
It's not LeBron.
But I think with what you're saying, I don't know that it necessarily works for at least me personally, because you and I were there when the Clipse came out. Yeah. So why would we not want them to win, right? Like when Grinding came out, we were beating on the lunch table.
But I just wasn't impressed with their. It's again, it goes back to what Ibrahim said. Like, as singles, these joints were hot. As albums, I didn't care. You know what I mean? And this album is good enough that I like care about it. I think it's cohesive enough. And I think, generally speaking, all the things they try to execute, they do. So I just wonder if one of their, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is kind of silly for me. Maybe we are just going off on too many tangents here, given the fact that apparently I'm in the minority because everyone thinks Clipse is great. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I just didn't care enough about their projects back in the day. I'm not going to change my opinion on it. I don't think they're very good.
Okay.
You know, so I don't know. Maybe that's just what it is. But I don't know. I don't even know how we got onto this. I will say that, you know, comparing Clipse to OutKast is just disrespectful to just not even just to music. It's just disrespectful to like living your life. Talking about.
Yeah, but anyway, so I didn't mean to trigger you or set you off.
We kind of rambled there a little bit,
right? So I'll just finish with Lowlights. I said recycled flows and their lack of originality. You kind of talked about that with the Biggie one. There's some Nori ones in here. There's like they cosplay their favorite MCs and have for the last few albums. Yeah. In ways that sometimes it's just like so obvious that it annoys me.
When Pusha T.
Yeah, so and then my last one here is Kanye style beef as a rollout. Why
you need to speak on this because I'm not as I know that there's beef. I just don't know all the intricacies.
I said, why did the verse about Travis Scott even need to be on here?
Oh yeah,
and why start a whole album rollout with beef? Like, this is the rap equivalent of Eminem dissing Christina Aguilera, right? Like, it's like Travis Scott's not real. You know what I mean? It's like your little brother comes and he taps you on the arm, and then you just punch him in the face, and you're 10 years older than him. You know, it's why are you doing this? And you know, I said, but I guess they needed a defenseless boogeyman to punch at, and Drake was already indisposed.
You need that straw man.
Yeah. So
okay,
those are mine.
Should we get into some track for track analysis?
Let's do it.
I guess we got to try to make this part quick.
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
You know, real quick. Birds Don't Sing featuring John Legend. Wow. I didn't know that they were capable of doing this.
Yeah.
I really did not. Like, holy fucking shit, this song. Where have you been?
It felt like a curveball. And when I first heard the album and this started it, I was like, why did they do this first? This should have been like somewhere in the body of the album. But then when I thought about it, I'm like, no, actually, this is great.
Yeah.
This is, you start the fight and then boom, you get hit with a hook and you're like, oh, shit, where did that come from? You know, like that. So I definitely, you know, I like the choice.
Pusha talking about his mom is kind of cool, especially because like he's the younger. Do they have any other siblings or just those two?
I don't know.
So it's just those two for now because that's what we know, right? The fact that, you know, Malice is talking about his father because, you know, historically or stereotypically, whatever, there's a connection between his son and a father and his firstborn son, right? Definitely. So Malice talks about his dad, and then Pusha's going to talk about his mom. The Pusha verse was almost a little too personal for me just because I didn't know half of what they were talking about. I'm like, who's Dee Dee?
Yeah.
Like, you know, but still very, very good verse, and like, kudos, Pusha, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Malice, I cannot speak highly enough about this verse. Holy shit, especially as someone who is now a father, like, Jesus Christ, bro. Like, this is excuse me, Malice, for speaking blasphemy. Because, you know. But no. Seriously, bro. This was
That's funny.
This verse is incredible. I already shouted out the bar that I wanted to. It's his only bar on here that I felt that I specifically needed to highlight, like in a positive way. Yeah. He's got a lot of bars on here, so does Pusha, but that one deserved all the credit because anyway,
Yeah,
incredible,
actually,
incredible.
The funny thing is, the way it stuck out to me which is when they did their Tiny Desk, they started with the song Virginia, and I always liked the line, it's funny, you know, the place that we make figures at is the same place they used to hang niggas at or whatever, right, when they're talking about Virginia, like, that bar always kind of stuck out to me, and it's in kind of in a similar way where it's just like, oh wow, okay, that's a bar.
Any thoughts on it?
Not over the top. I think it's a great song. I think it's necessary. And I think, you know, we've kind of wanted this type of introspection from the Clipse for a long time. So it's good that we finally get it and that they start with it.
I have 3 highlight of highlights.
Okay.
So that's one of them.
Okay.
So, but this is a highlight, but it's one of my highlight of highlights. I typically only try to do 1 per album, but this deserves 3.
All right. Cool.
So it's a highlight of highlights for me. Chains and Whips.
Right. Featuring Kendrick Lamar.
Highlight of highlights number 2.
Okay. Tell us more about it.
I'm just grooving on this. I was not expecting it. Pharrell did his thing.
Okay.
Even like the little bomb that's in there. And Kendrick delivers.
Kendrick delivers for sure.
Pusha, he's coming after Jim Jones. Is that what it is?
Oh yeah, that was an old beef, but yeah.
But I think that's who this is targeting, right?
Yeah, but the thing is that, like I said, they put this song out like 2 years ago at like the Paris Fashion Week.
This is an old one.
This was supposed to be the first single, but the problem was they couldn't get the Kendrick Lamar feature, and there was all this stuff where they were on Def Jam, and then Def Jam wasn't going to clear it because they thought he was talking about Drake, and then all this stuff happened, and then they had to leave Def Jam. Jay-Z bought them out of the contract so that
I can totally see. So you heard the song 2 years ago.
Or a year and some change.
See, I'm just now hearing it for the first time last week.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like, I'm like, okay, we heard this mad long ago, and then, you know, at the time they were going back and forth with Jim Jones, but like the Jim Jones beef is a year old.
Well, I didn't know that. Nevertheless, hearing this with fresh ears, this is a highlight of highlights for me. Do you have any other thoughts on it?
I said I like the aesthetic of this song more than I like the song itself.
Okay.
Because it feels very sterile. Again, it's got that kind of runway pulse to it.
Yeah.
But that Kendrick feature.
Yeah, of course.
Kendrick is Kendrick, but that Kendrick feature was worth the wait.
Yeah.
So that's what I got.
So POV, and we're doing the Spotify version because apparently physical copies have different versions.
Oh, okay.
So we're doing POV. You got Tyler, the Creator, on here, right?
Yep.
Why don't you talk about this one?
I like this song. This song actually reminds me of Hell Hath No Fury in a good way.
Okay.
I kind of struggled from a flow perspective just because you know, this felt like another one of those kind of Clipse songs where they were incorporating other people's kind of things and some of the other songs, but this particular song, it felt Clipse. It felt like Health House No Fury. Even Tyler the Creator raps like Clipse on the song. I liked that, but then it also had 2 bars that I really liked. So I liked the only Audi here driven by my au pair. I liked that shit just because it's like, I like when people make me feel poor. I was like, yo, I feel poor as hell. Like an Audi is a nice car. And then we get a Willie Falcone reference, which I feel like, you know, Willie Falcone was cocaine kingpins, the kind of one of the kingpins or whatever from Miami, the original people who brought cocaine to Miami. If you ever watch that Cocaine Cowboys documentary, they talk a lot about Willie Falcone. He was a big like cocaine kingpin, and he got really into boating because he had so much money. He just started buying boats, and then he did this whole thing where like he competed in like some big like boating thing, and he won the tournament. And it was just crazy because like they had so much money, like these cocaine kingpins had so much money that they were just doing egregious shit. So like he just bought this crazy boat and just like raced it and like and won, and he got all this attention. But you know, if you're like a drug dealer, you're not supposed to like draw all this attention to yourself or whatever. But yeah, he was like a really funny story in the Cocaine Cowboys movie, and so it was funny that they kind of talked about him on there.
Got you.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I thought it was good. This is one of the ones where they had the beat switch. So again, you got a little bit of a different arrangement here. I think it's Malice who's on there, and it's cool that Tyler the Creator comes first. Yeah. Or he comes before Malice does. Tyler did have a bar on here that I like. I like the way he closed out his verse. What he said, the curse of the zeros, when you become the devil or the tap dancing Negro, I came to terms that I'm gonna probably outgrow my hero. I was like, all right, I see what you did there. Like, that's cool. Like I actually haven't heard that one before, at least not articulated in that way. Like, good job, Tyler. Yeah. And I say that because I'm a Tyler skeptic. Right. So yeah. But no, it's a good track. It still follows a good run of Birds Don't Sing and Chains and Whips to POV. Then we get into the bad stretch for me. Oh, okay. I don't like So Be It. Now it's not a low light for me. But it's not a highlight for me. But you like this beat.
Did you hear the joint where they switched the beat? They changed it?
In POV? Or
no, in So Be It. So apparently they put the album out, and the album had a different version of So Be It with a totally different beat. And everybody hated it so much and protested for like about 12 hours. And then they went and updated it and put the old version on there, which is the version we now hear with the Middle Eastern sample.
Yeah, that's the only one I know.
Yeah. I love that sample. Yeah. I thought that the whole like putting the drums backward thing was fine. I didn't care so much for it. But that sample I thought was great.
I got you. I wasn't as impressed with it as other folks were, because I know it's a highlight track for other people.
Okay. Yeah. I just love and I also love where this is culturally inappropriate.
I like that.
Is placed. I like how they put that throughout. But I like it on this particular song. Like I like where it lands. And you know, I felt like the Travis Scott diss at the end was unnecessary. Again, I'm just like, why are you punching at your little brother?
I will say this though. Pusha T sounds best when he's focused, and if you're gonna give him a boogeyman to focus on, he sounds good most of the time. Yeah. But I hear you.
At least find a formidable opponent. Like you know, Drake was a bit. At least Drake can rap back at you. Yeah. What is Travis Scott gonna do?
That's true.
But the one other thing I wanted to say here is what I didn't like about So Be It was again like the stealing of flows, right? So like you know, Pusha's clearly stealing, you know, from Big, like in terms of his cadence. Yeah. And then Malice goes back to the Noriega flow, which I talked about. T-O-N-Y, T-O-N-Y, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. Like, that's like a Nori flow. Yeah. But it's almost like, you know, someone just told them to, like, just imitate, you know, what you hear on this song and imitate what you hear on this song, and then but just put it in your own words. I hate when they do that.
Ace trumpets, there's a lot of hype surrounding this song.
Yeah, I hated this song.
So I don't hate it, but
I do not like this song. I never liked the song. I think if the song didn't come out as the first single, I might appreciate it more. It's fine for an album cut. It's like just decent filler, maybe.
So that's actually one of my highlights, is that I think the filler actually works. Oftentimes there's filler tracks that they actually distract from the album. The fillers on this does not distract from the album. There's a cohesive sound, which I think makes it good. This song is not a highlight for me. What I was gonna say, the thing I hate about this, I hate the hook.
Yeah.
And what's worse is that it sounds like when Nas tries to get deep on a hook.
Yes.
Like, this is ballerinas. Yeah. But that sounds like something Nas would say. Like,
and they're saying it like it's so deep. It's not. So it's like, okay, we get it. You sold cocaine. Like, like it's not as deep as y'all are trying to make it. But the other thing that I hated about this song was actually Push. I think that if anybody else said yellow diamonds look like pee-pee or connect me to the Wi-Fi, we would call them out for these weak ass bars. But because it's the Clipse, like, and they say it with such oomph, then we just like go, oh, okay, like
you have to have conviction,
like
right?
pee-pee.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. His bars on that song are not all that great.
I don't like this song.
Malice's half of his verse is good. I think the second half of his verse is good. The first half of his verse is like, what are you talking about? When it was like, you was Fuji Lala, I was.
You like that?
I like that.
You was Fuji Lala.
With a House of Gucci that I bought from selling Lady Gaga, Matata. I was like, I can get with it. Yeah. All right. All Things Considered, featuring The Dream.
I hate this song.
It is a low light for me.
Yeah, these are the two low lights for me back to back. Ace Trumpets and All Things Considered. I think this is the song that I was talking about where I feel like Pharrell actually sounds bad. He sounds terrible, and you can hear Melodyne or Auto-Tune or whatever like trying to put his voice into the right notes, but he sounds awful on there. And I think the beat is just okay, but everything else that's going on is not good enough to make Pharrell's terrible hook sound better. I don't understand why The Dream comes at the very end, because it's like, if you have somebody that can sing a little bit, like just put them on the hook. So
I actually didn't mind Pharrell on here, but I agree this is probably his weakest performance on here. But I still thought it sounded good in terms of knitting everything together. Okay. Because I think the beat is not good.
Because you like having, the beat is just there.
I don't think the beat is good. And this is one where this song lyrically started out with such promise.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's not talking about drugs, Pusha. You know?
Oh, this is the one where he pivots like a few bars into it.
Yeah, he's talking about his personal life,
right?
Miscarriages and all that stuff. It's like, oh man, that's tough. You know what I mean? Like, I feel that. And then you start talking about drugs again. It's like, bro, like what?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, I don't like the song at all.
All right, then we get Mike Tyson blow to the face, and this is the one where man, I mean the Biggie imitation is like. Oh my God, bro! Like, chill the fuck out. You did this on Hell Hath No Fury. You're doing this again now, and you don't sound good doing it.
Yeah, I don't think that they sound terrible, but it's just like I think that they this is the perfect example of like a song where like they're feeling themselves so much, and you can hear it, and it's like what they think is so deep is not that deep. Like even the concept of like she want Mike Tyson blow to the face. It's like. That should have been a bar, like just the bar, and it would have just been an I bar. But instead, they made it a whole song, and that's the chorus and everything. It's like, okay, I like the imagery, right? Like everybody's seen that picture of Mike Tyson, and he's got cocaine all over his nose. So like it evokes that image. But like it's an image that you'd be like, oh yeah, that's cool, and then you would move on. Do we need a whole song about it?
Here's a question: how would you feel if it was Raekwon on the hook instead of Pusha? I think Raekwon would sound so.
She want Mike Tyson blow to the face.
I think because that sounds like something that he and Ghost would say.
But it would be in the verse. It would just be a bar. He wouldn't make a whole song where that's the song.
Maybe maybe not. I don't know. I think Raekwon would sound great on this. I think he should be there. He's not.
I think that I do like the vocal sample that "Kids He's At" or whatever that's saying. I like that.
Yeah. But
that's pretty. I mean, I think this is just okay. And the fact that they're featuring it almost as like the next single is just another example of like. What I'm talking about in terms of like this is coke rap for 15-year-old kids in Nebraska or whatever.
It's not a low light for me, but it's fine.
I like some of the bars in here. I like the Bezos of the nasal, and I like some like made a couple million off the flow to the nays. I like the flow to the nays, like flow nays. That's fly. But I just we didn't need a whole blow to the face song to me.
Next we have Abida featuring Pharrell.
Ibada. Interest, depreciation, and amortization. I think that this is Pharrell's best vocal performance on here. Like he sings some on here. I like this record a lot. I like the brevity. I like the beat. I like the lyric. I really like this song. This is one of my highlights.
I didn't say this as a highlight, but it might be. Again, Pharrell is good on here. There's a good frenetic energy about it.
Yeah.
Again, more drug escaping.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It almost feels like they're driving.
Yes.
Like they're on like the highway. Or
That's why
like
I thought when you were saying the yacht rock thing, like I was like, oh, maybe he's just talking about
no,
like the easygoing
there's another
feel
song
of
on
this
here
one.
that's like straight yacht rock.
Okay. I like this one.
FICO featuring Stove God Cooks.
Also a highlight.
This is a highlight
I
for me,
love
for sure.
Stove though. Like Stove is my dude. And
He's incredible on here.
I was so happy that he was on here because like
his
if you
sounds
were
amazing.
If you were to ask me anybody who should be on a song with the Clipse, I would say Stove.
I'm not familiar with him or his game, but he sounds really good.
He's from the Griselda camp. Yeah. So actually, if you haven't heard it, he has an album called Reasonable Drought.
Yeah.
I think you might like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
So,
but so this is one of the ones though, despite the fact that I like this song, this is the one where it's like the same cadence throughout. Like they both have the same cadence too. And I think, is it Malice who says like dum diddy dum whatever? I was like, all right, like I get it, but what do you mean?
By this point in the album, I don't even know if I'm really listening to these niggas no more. Like in terms of like what they're saying. Like I just don't think that they have that much hot stuff to say personally. But yeah, next track.
We have Inglorious Bastards featuring Ab Liva,
yeah.
Familiar with him, but
yeah, this song is fine, but I'm so excited just about Re-Up Gang. Remember I told you about how they had the broader group that was Push and Malice, and then Ab Liva and Sandman.
Okay.
So the only person who's missing here is Sandman. So I mean, I wish Sandman was on the shit because I just love Sandman and the whole group. But it's exciting to have like an Ab Liva feature, and he kills it to me.
Yeah, it's cool though.
Yeah.
Not a low light, not a highlight, but like again, it works.
Well, this is a run for me. So 8, 9, 10, 11 is a run for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go into 11. So Far Ahead featuring Pharrell.
So I feel like this is Pharrell's best.
I like even more.
I think Pharrell
also sounds great. This has that like late 70s rock vibe to it, almost like a Elton John or like a Billy Joel or something like that.
Yeah, I see that.
He executes that really, really well. Again, though, same cadence from them, and I get it. Like you're just not as natural as some of these other folks. But I mean, if you're gonna stick to it.
To me, they start to drone on, like like from 11 down. I'm start to just be like, okay, like maybe I've had enough clips, but the songs are still cool. They're still fine. It's just
Then we have Let God Sort Them Out / Chandeliers featuring Nas. What you think?
Not a highlight, but it's fine.
I had this as a highlight.
Yeah,
I
because of the beat switch or because of Nas or what?
I don't remember why. I just remember like I like basically it's the beginning of this album was great for me. The end of this album was great for me.
Okay.
So my next highlight, though, By the Grace of God, this is a wow song for me. This is one of my highlights. This is like Pharrell going into his 80s Phil Collins yacht rock. Like I didn't, realize, I didn't know that the Clipse were capable of doing this.
Do you feel like the Clipse were capable or Pharrell?
But I still have to make it work.
Like, did you think that their personal performances on there, or was this just the beat and Pharrell?
I think Pharrell is doing the best with what he has, which is Clipse.
Right.
But for him to make this beat and to put them on it and to make this song and his vocal contribution as well, I think is really, really good. Yeah. So this is a highlight for me. This is so my three favorite songs on here are Birds Don't Sing, Chains and Whips, and then By the Grace of God. Okay. And there's some other ones I like here on as well, and I highlighted those. Yeah. POV and So Far Ahead is also good. FICO, Let God Sort Them Out, I like. And Mike Tyson Blow to the Face. It beat like they're fine. Yeah. So
that's what's up.
But yeah.
I like the song too. I think it's a good closeout. I like how they kind of came in on a deeper and left on a deeper. Yeah. And more musical note. Yeah. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So all in all, I think this is a very good album. I've hated on Clipse in the past. And again, I've never even really hated the Clipse. I just thought that they were fine. Yeah. And people speak about them in ways that I've never quite understood unless you were from Virginia. Yeah. You know what I mean? Fair. And, going to college at the time where Clipse is out, when Pharrell was like saving some of his gems for the Clipse. Facts. At the party, it was like, wow, what is this? Yeah. When's the last time you heard it like this?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that first one had like groundbreaking production on it.
It did.
And in a way that, like, I don't know, like, this is cool, but like, I don't think anybody who goes up to Funk Flex or whatever is going to ask for one of these beats to, whereas like grinding, everybody wanted grinding. Everybody wanted When's the Last Time.
The thing is, though, is that while as singles, I thought some of those songs were great.
Yeah.
But as albums, it felt hollow, if that makes sense. Hollow to me. Despite the fact that, again, there's a lot of drug rap on here. There's enough other themes on here. There's enough other vulnerability.
Yeah.
And there's enough variety in what Pharrell is trying to do while also having a coherent sound.
Yeah.
That, like, it just works. Like, this is actually, like, a good album. This is what Hell Hath No Fury probably should have been, and it just wasn't, because I just didn't think they were any good on it. You know what I mean? But I think that they're, for the most part here, despite some of the criticisms, I think they're good on here.
I disagree that they weren't any good on there and that there wasn't any good music, but I do think that they lacked some of the depth that we got here.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe they needed the 20 years or 10 years to grow to be able to give us something like this.
Are we scoring this album? Are we grading it? Do we usually do that?
We did start. So what you got?
I'm gonna give this an A-.
Okay.
Yeah. Now
Go
also
out of
for
5.
the Clipse.
1 to 5.
Out of 5, for the Clipse, this is a 4.5. This is a 4.5 for the. Actually, for the Clipse, this might be 5 for the Clipse.
Okay, but in the grand scheme of the world,
it's at least a 4. I might still give this a 4.2.5. No, what? A 4.1. Yeah.
Okay, 4.1 is crazy.
Yeah.
Not even a quarter.
No,
I'll probably give it a 4.
Yeah,
I might even give it a 3.75 if we doing points.
The reason you said you might give it a 4.375?
No, I said I would give it a 4, but I said I might even give it a 3.75.
Okay,
like yeah.
The reason why it gets a 4.1 for me is because I think that this is an album that you can be proud of, and if you were making the case for somebody's hip hop legacy, this is one of the staples for me. Okay. That's what I think this could be. Now, where I think it could be difficult is because they're not debuting at a time. This isn't coming out at a time when they would be relevant, at a time when their debut.
Okay.
So I think that, like, for example, when we talk about Wu-Tang's legacy, we're not going to talk about the recent project that they just did.
Right.
We're not. Hey, they came out with an album, it's great.
Yeah.
But, like, we're not going to talk about that unless it's actually, like, mind-blowing, which it's not. It's fine. It was cool, but it wasn't, like, exceptional.
Yeah.
When we talk about Wu-Tang's legacy, we're talking about everything they did from 93 to 98 plus Supreme Clientele, right? When we talk about Clipse's legacy, I think I was prepared to just talk about Lord Willing and Hell Hath No Fury plus whatever features that Pusha decided to do, right? This is like, no, I have to now include this in your hip-hop legacy. And given that so many hip-hop groups, when they come out with these albums way later in their career, they don't deliver on that. The fact that this one does gets a lot of props for me. Okay. So
respect. I think what I would love to do is in 1 year bring this conversation up again and see what here's the reason I say that, because I don't see myself revisiting this album very much in the future. And I think that it's been one of my criticisms of a lot of Pusha T's music. Like, Pusha T makes he's got a lot of albums. And he makes a lot of music that, like, when you hear it the first time, you're like, oh wow, this is cool. I'm glad this is out. But, like, it's not like you never go back and go like, man, I really want to hear It's Almost Dry right now. You know, like, you know, I just, that's just kind of how I generally feel about him specifically. And this feels like it's in that canon to me.
So the thing is, we kind of had the same opinion when he came out with his last album, right? Which was
It's Almost Dry.
It's Almost Dry. So you said you would want to listen to Almost Dry? Is that what you...
No, I'm saying when we had that discussion, I said in 6 months to a year,
got you,
I will never revisit this again.
Right.
And I feel a little bit of that in listening to this album.
Okay, I don't feel the same way. I did feel that at the time of It's Almost Dry.
Right.
But I think another good example of this would be when I was watching the NBA draft and then the NBA playoffs in general. They had like a lot of...
cut the camera.
What?
I'm about to cut the camera, just letting you know.
Okay. They had